Hello, students. We have learned about the grouping of the things in the previous chapter. Many things like that of the wood or that of the stone, they are used as such. However, there are a number of substances which is available in the nature are mixed with other substances. And in order to use these substances, we have to separate them. We have to separate the mixture. And in this chapter we will study about that how or what are the different process by which we can separate the different substances from each other. Now the first question that is arises in the separation of a substances, that is, what is the need of the separation? When we talk about the separation, we are simply talking about that if two substances they are combined together, they are mixed up together, then if we want to use them individually, we have to separate them by using the different process. So the first question is that what is the need of this separation? So if we talk about the need of the separation, that is, the first need is to separate two dissimilar but useful substances. Okay? Like in case of a butter and that of the milk. Milk is churned in order to obtain butter. So see here, in the when we talk about the milk and that of the butter, you see the milk is having the butter in it. So if we churn the milk, then we obtain the butter. And you see these both are, when we talk about butter or that of the milk, these two are dissimilar from each other. They are not similar with each other, but you see both of them, either that of the butter or the milk, both are a useful element. Okay, so to remove or to obtain the two useful component, or to separate the two dissimilar but that of the useful element. Okay, so if we want butter, we have to separate the butter from the milk. Second, to segregate the useless element from the useful one. Okay, like in case of separating the tea leaves from tea. So if you see that there are a lot of elements, like if you see in case of a tea, we use the tea leaves and we use the other components in it. And if we want the tea from that of the tea leaves, then that tea leaves is a kind of a useless element, and we have to segregate. Segregate means to obtain or to separate. Okay, segregate means to separate. So to separate that of the tea from the tea leaves. Okay, so to segregate the useless element from the useful one. And the second thing, to remove and discard impurities or potentially harmful substances. Okay, or we can say to remove the unuseful or the harmful components, like that of a small pieces of the stone or the other impurities which are present in the rice and that of the wheat. You see that these are the harmful substances, or these are not that useful substance which is present, like stone or the other components which are present in the rice and the wheat. What we will do, we segregate, we pick up that of the stone from the wheat and the rice. Okay, and these stones, they are harmful for us. They are not the useful, but they are a harmful component. Okay, so the first thing that we will separate from the we will separate the two things, and both the things are useful component. In the second thing, that we will separate one of the component which is useful from the other component which is useless. And the third is, we will separate the harmful component from that of the useful component. So this is the need of the separation of the components. Now we will talk about that what is the principle of the separation. And when we talk about the principle of separation, there are two principles on the basis of which we can separate the things. The first principle is that the substance present in the mixture retain their original properties like particle size, density, melting point, boiling point, etc. Okay, so this is the first principle, that is the substance which is present in the mixture, they retain their original property, they keep their original property like that of the particle size, or what kind of a density they have, or what kind of a melting point they have. Okay, melting point is the temperature at which the substance start melt. Boiling point is the point of the temperature at which the substance starts boil. Okay, so they keep their original properties. Okay, now we will see the next one, and that is the principle of separation. Why the separation, why the principle, on the what basis the separation of the substances occur. The first one is this. The second one is we use the difference in any of we use the difference in any one of these properties in the component of a mixture to separate them so these are the two principles of separation of the components. The first one is the substance which is present in the mixture. They keep their original properties, and on the basis of their properties, we are able to difference the two type of substances and able to separate them from the other substances through with which it get mixed up. So these are the two principle of the separation. It is important, so you should write these principle in the copies also. Before we go further, we should understand some of the terms in the separation of the substances, like pure substance. What is a pure substances? So many substances which is around us, they consisting of only one type of a constituent particle. So we can say the substances which consisting of substances having only one kind of a component, one kind of a component, these kind of substances are the pure substances. And some of the example of the substances, pure substance, like that of the iron or copper. So you see that iron or copper or salt or water, these are the substance which are having the constituent particle of its own, which are having only one type of a particle. Like iron is having the iron particle only, and that's why the iron is a pure substance. Okay, now see here, the impure substance just differ from that of the pure substance. So substance which containing not one type of a constituent but containing more than one type of a constituent particles, they are the impure substances. So we can say the substances having more than having more than one type of particles. For example, a lot more example are there, like that of a pond water. Okay, so you see in the pond water, the sand is also there, dust is also there, water is already there. So these are not a pure substance, but it consisting of a lot of constituent particles together. We can take an example of a milk also. Milk is having the water also, and a milk component or oil is also present in it. Okay, so impure substances are the substance which contain more than a type of a constituent particles in it. Pure substances are substance which consisting of only one type of a constituent particles. The next one is on the basis of that is impurities. Okay, impure substance we understood, but whenever we say that these components or it consisting of impurities, what does that mean? Means these impurities are actually the unwanted particles which get mixed up with the substances and making it impure. So we can define it, that is the unwanted particles present in substance making it impure. Okay, so these are the substance unwanted particle which get mixed up with the pure substances and making it impure. We will see the next term, and that is mixture. So when we talk about the mixture, these are the substances which contain more than one component. So how it get differ from the impure substances? Actually it contain more than one component, and the components or the two components they mix together in any ratio, that is known as a mixture. Okay, so contains more than one component mixed in any ratio. Okay, and that is called mixture. For example, a very good example is air. So you see the air is a mixture of many gases, like that of oxygen is present in air, or carbon dioxide is present in air, or nitrogen is present, or dust particle. So these all are the mixtures, or we can say these are all the components which is present in the air, and thus air is a mixture. You see that we are the carbon dioxide or the dust particles, they are present in air in any ratio. There is no fixed ratio of a carbon dioxide or a dust particle which is present in the air. Okay, so these all are the components which mixed up with the air. Okay, now the second one is the homogeneous mixture. When we talk about the homogeneous, homo means same. Okay, so mixture in which the particle of a substance present cannot be seen, they are called the homogeneous mixture. So we can say that if suppose we have taken a solution of a sugar and water. Okay, so we added the sugar in the water, and when the sugar get dissolved, you are not able to distinguish that this water, by looking at the water you are not able to predict, or you're not able to tell that whether this water consisting of a sugar or salt in it. Okay, why is it so? Because you are not able to distinguish, we are not able to see the substances clearly it get mixed up very thoroughly in it, and it cannot be seen with the naked eyes, or it cannot be seen. Okay, so these kind of particles of the substances which is present and cannot be seen in the mixture, that kind of a mixture is known as a homogeneous mixture. We can say air also. By looking at the air, you are not able to distinguish the different kind of gases, that yes, oxygen is present here or nitrogen is present here. No, you cannot distinguish it. You are looking, when you look around, you see that yes, air is present, but you cannot tell that what kind of a gases is present in that air. So we can write it like the homogeneous mixture. Particles, a mixture in which the particles of substance cannot be seen. Example, air is there. Example, cold drink. By looking at the cold drink, you are not able to say that it consisting of the other mixtures or it consisting of air in it. Okay, so these kind of a mixture are known as a homogeneous mixture. Okay, now we will come to the next one, and that is the heterogeneous mixture. Hetero means different. So mixture which consisting of a different substances which can be seen easily. Before that, when we talk about the homogeneous mixture, homo means same, and the two things which are same or which are alike with, which are having the same kind of a property, or which look alike with each other, they look same with each other, and that kind of particles or that kind of a mixture we are not able to distinguish between them. So that kind of a mixture is a homogeneous mixture. But when we talk about the heterogeneous mixture, hetero means different. Okay, so the two part, though the mixture consisting of the two component, if they are different from each other, so the particles they can be easily seen. So that kind of a mixture is a heterogeneous mixture. For example, water in oil. Okay, so if you add a oil, you can see that the oil, add a oil in water, then you can see that the surface of the water is totally covered with the oil. Okay, so this kind of a mixture is known as a heterogeneous mixture. Dust in air, yes, if a dust is present in the air, then yes, you can able to distinguish that yes, that air is dusty. Okay, so mixture in which the particles of the substance present can be seen easily. Okay, example is oil in water. So these are the some of the definitions, some of the terms that we should know before we go further to the separation. Okay, pure substances, impure substances, impurities, that is the unwanted particles present in substance, mixture which consisting of more than one kind of a component in any ratio, homogeneous in which the particle cannot be seen, we are not able to distinguish between them, heterogeneous mixture with consisting of the particles which can be seen seen easily, or which we can able to distinguish that two particles are present in the mixtures. Okay, now we will come to the different methods of the separation of different substances. So the different methods of the separation are hand picking, winnowing is there, sieving is there, magnetic separation is there, sedimentation is there, decantation is there, loading, filtration, evaporation, sublimation, distillation, churning. These all are the common method of the separation. Okay, so we will start with the first method, that is the hand picking. It is a very common method to separate the bigger component or to a larger component from the smaller one. Like if suppose, or it is the very simplest method of separation of the substances. Okay, so basically this method is used to only when the unwanted material is in small quantity, like in case of a rice or the pulses or wheat that we buy from the market. They contain a lot of impurities and they are unwanted or the harmful particles which is present in the cereals. Okay, they may be present in the form of a small stored or in the form of unwanted grains. So often these impurities, they look very different from the other food item, and that's why we are able to spot them easily. If suppose you are buying a rice and it consisting of a mustard or it consisting of the stone, so you are able to distinguish the stone to that of the rice, since the color or the size, they look different from that of the rice or that of the wheat. So we can spot them easily and we are able to separate them. So the method of separation, which is very simple and which was very common, is hand picking. Okay, but while this method is preferred when the quantity of the mixture is very small, or the unwanted substance which is present in a smaller quantity, as well as the size or the shape or the color of the unwanted substance is different from that of the useful one. Okay, so you see here that the shape, size or the color of the unwanted particle is different from the useful particles. For examples, the pebbles, those small stones, or the broken grains, or the insects which is present from the rice or the wheat or the pulses, they can be separated by the process of hand picking. Okay, so since it is hand picking, it means it is done by manual. Okay, so there is some restriction or there is some limitation of doing it, like it can occur when the quantity of the mixture is small, or the unwanted substance, let me write it properly so that you can write it. So this method, hand picking method, can be preferred when the quantity of the mixture is small. The second thing, that the unwanted substances present in small quantity, okay, and the third one is the shape and the size. The shape, size and color is different of unwanted substances. Different from useful one. Okay, so these are the three things. That is, the quantity of the mixture should be small. Then we can prefer the hand picking process. The unwanted substances which is present, it should be in small quantity, since it is doing means by manual. So if it is in a small quantity, then it will be able to can be removed by the process of the hand picking. And the shape and the size and the color, because if the shape and the size and the color of the unwanted substances will be different, then it will be make very easier to pick up that the unwanted or the harmful component from the useful one. So this method is preferred due to this one. We will come to the next method of separation of the component, and that is threshing. So you see the stacks of the harvested crop, they are thrashed against a slab of a rock. Okay, so threshing is done in the same way as the washerman, like dhobi, does with his cloth as at dhobi hut. Okay, so grain gets separated from the husk by threshing, and it may be done manually or with the help of the machine. So we can define threshing as it is used for the separated seed or separating seed from the harvested stalk, like that of the wheat stalk is there, or the rice stalk is there, or the pulses are there. So this can be separated by the process of threshing. So I already said that these can be done either with the help of a machine, or it is done by manually. So if we talk about the manual threshing, so in case of a manual threshing, when the quantity is very small, the threshing is done manually. Okay, when a lot of grain or a lot of harvested stock is not there, then it can be done easily by manually. Okay, so small bundle of the harvested stalks are thrashed on a hard surface, and this process help in separating that of the grain. Okay, so manual threshing is basically, it is done by holding a pile of a crop and beating it on a rock or on a hard surface, and due to which it loosen and separate the grain from the stalk. Okay, sometimes you see threshing is also done by the help of animals. How? If a large quantity of a stalk is there, then what happens? The threshing is done in the traditional way, like by using animals. So for this method, the stalks are spread around a pole, and the several bullocks, they are tied to the pole and made to walk over the harvested stalk. And the trampling by hooves of the animals help in separating the grain. Okay, so threshing is also done by crushing the harvested stalk by using bullocks. Okay, so these are the two methods. The first one is the manually, and the second one is by the help of the animals. The third one is by machine. So nowadays you see the people, they use machine to separate the stalk from the harvested stalk from the seed. So they use the threshing machine, that is known as thresher, for this purpose. Okay, so it can be powered by either a diesel engine, that I told you it is thresher, or an electric motor. So it help in saving the time, as well as it help in saving the labor. You see here, this is the threshing is done manually, in which a pile of a stalk of the harvested crop is taken, and it is beaten up in this hard surface, and due to which the grains which is present in the stalk, they get loosened up and get separated from the harvested stalk. So the three methods threshing is done. That is, the first one is by manually. The second one is it is done by crushing the harvested stalk by using the bullocks. And the third one is by using the thresher or with the help of the machine, like that of the combine harvester. Okay, so this is the second method. Okay, these threshed grains which we are separating from that of the harvested stalk, they still containing of the seed covering or the tiny pieces of the stem or the leaves, which we generally call it a chaff. Okay, so this threshing is done simply just to remove the stalk from that of the seed, but the seed covering and the tiny pieces of the leaves or the stems are still present on the in the grains or in the on the seeds. Now we will come to the next method of separation, and that is known as winnowing. So when we talk about winnowing, this method, I already explained you about the chaff. So on threshing the crop plant, the farmer get a mixture of what? Of straw, husk, and that of the grain. Okay, husk, straw, and that of the grain. So the straw and husk are collectively known as a chaff. And this chaff can be separated from the grain by the method of the winnowing. Okay. So winnowing is an agriculture method which is developed by the ancient culture for separating the grain from the chaff. So in this method is used when one of the component is heavier than that of the other. So it is very a simple method in which a farmer stands on a high platform and releases the mixture of a chaff and that of the grain from the winnow, and keeping the winnow at the level of his head. So what happened when they do that? The grain being heavier, they fall under the winnow, and the chaff, they are lighter, so they blown a little away from the wind. So by this method we can separate the chaff, which is used as a folder for a cattle, and that of the grain. Okay, now see here. So it is used to remove the bevelis or that of the chaff or the other pest from the stored grain. You can see here a lady which is standing at a certain height, keeping that of the chaff and that of the grain together. When she winnow it, then what will happen? The grain, which is the heavier one, it comes and it get placed here, and that of the chaff, which is the lighter one, it get blown away and it fall little bit away from that of the grains. Okay, so by this method, you can see here the same method. By this method we are able to separate the grain from the husk and that of the straw. Okay, so this is the method of the winnowing. Now the chaff, the separated chaff, these are again used as fodder for cattle. Okay, one more thing is there, the direction of the wind, it also play a very important role in the process of winnowing. Okay, because that wind will help in blowing away the chaff from that of the grain. After winnowing or after threshing, then winnowing, then what will happen? Now we have to sieve it. Okay, so the sieve or the sifter, what is it? It is a device for separating the wanted material from the unwanted material on the basis or for characterizing the particle size distribution. Okay, so this method is used when the component of the mixtures, they are of a different size. Okay, if they are of different size, then we can use the process of sieving. So sieving, it removes the unwanted seed or the soil particles from the grain. Now for example, a very good example is the flour. The flour is sieved to separate the bran, okay, which is present in the flour. So by this we can separate it and use it properly. And why is it so? The particles of the flour is very small as compared to that of the bran. Now bran is also, although generally we do not sieve the flour and consume the bran, spelling of the bran is BRAN, with the flour only. And why is this so? It is because the bran which we use in that of the flour, it is rich in nutrient and it provide as a roughage, which is a useful part of our food. So now if we see in the sieving, So the process of sieving is basically used to separate the pebbles and that of the stones from that of the sand at the construction site. So you see, the sieving process is used for many purpose, and basically the sieving process occur if the two of the component they differ from each other with the size of the particles. Okay. So sieve is also a process of separating the component of a mixture that are of different sizes.